Hi, this is Cherie, Churchill School Librarian. Today I'm going to read to you a book that I love, and not just for the name. It is called Winston of Churchill, One Bear's Battle Against Global Warming. This book is by Davies Okimoto, and it's illustrated by Jeremiah Trammell. And I love this book. When I started reading it, I had some friends asking me if this was a true story. So you can just kind of think about whether or not you think it is a true story as I start reading it, and I think you'll have an answer pretty quickly. All right, let's start. Winston of Churchill was a great white bear. Every year in the late fall and early winter, Winston and the other polar bears came to hunt from the ice of Hudson Bay near the town of Churchill in the Canadian province of Manitoba. Winston was a fierce, brave bear, and when Winston spoke, every bear listened. Young and old bears, father bears, mother bears, teenage bears, all the bears listened, even cubs. Every furry face was turned to Winston, and a hush fell over the crowd. So this picture might kind of give you insight if you think this might be a true story. So use your judgment. My fellow creatures, I have called this meeting today to discuss a serious problem. The ice is melting. We are losing our home. The time has come for action. There is no time for ease and comfort. It is the time to dare and endure. Looks like the bears are really listening. Do we want to spend the rest of our lives at the dump? No, shouted the bears. We want ice. Ice is nice. We will fight for ice, boomed Winston. We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight on the hills. We shall never surrender. All the bears cheered and cheered. In the back, a cub raised his paw. Yes, son, Winston called on him. We don't live on an island. We live in Manitoba. I know that. It was just a figure of speech. Winston noticed the cub raise his paw again. Now what? I have another question. What is it? Winston puffed on his cigar. Who are we fighting? I was about to get to that, son. Winston puffed again on his cigar. The ice is melting because it's getting too warm around here, and people are doing it with their cars and smokestacks and cutting down trees. How does that happen? I wrote this book about it. There's one for everybody. Come up here and help me pass them out. So the polar bear is smoking a cigar, and he also wrote a book. Okay, and we're going to kind of read this page. So it says, Why It's Getting Hotter by Winston of Churchill, Manitoba, Canada, North America, Earth. The Earth has some gas around it, and that holds in the heat of the sun. It's called the atmosphere. If you get too much of these gases, the heat near the Earth gets stuck, and the Earth heats up. It says, burning gasoline in cars makes carbon dioxide. Methane gas comes from rotting garbage in landfills. Digging for oil and natural gas and mining coal lets out a gas called nitrous oxide. Too much of these gases is no good. But green plants turn carbon dioxide into oxygen, which is very good. People need to burn less gas, make less garbage, and plant more trees. Sounds like a good idea to me. What do you think? But what can we do? We can't do anything, Winston said. We are bears. We don't drive cars or burn coal. We like it cold. Yes, ice is nice, everyone agreed. It is the people who have to change, shouted Winston, not bears, and we must convince them to do it. The sign says, Polar bear alert. Stop, don't walk in this area. Now listen carefully. Here's my plan. Tomorrow, when the tourists board the tundra buggies, and those buggies begin to roll, they'll roll right into our polar bear protest. Are you with me? Are you ready to march? Yes, shouted the bears. Are you ready to fight for ice? Yes, shouted the bears. So there's our friend Winston, inspiring people to try to create change and have a big protest. But one bear didn't say yes. One bear said no. Everyone looked to see who it was. The bear who said no said it again. No. It was Winston's wife. Whoa. Winston and his wife left the group to have a private talk. This is very embarrassing, Winston said to his wife. Why did you say no? I'm not going on the march, Winston, unless you quit smoking that thing. You're polluting the air, and that makes it hotter here. That thing in your mouth is an instrument of pollution. Sometimes a cigar is a cigar, growled Winston. How can you convince people to stop doing what they're doing unless you can show them that every little bit helps? His wife glared at him. No cigar or I'm not going. The next morning, it was cold and clear, and in the town of Churchill, the tourists began to wake up. They ate breakfast in the restaurants of the town. Then it was time to go, time to see the bears. The tourists were very excited as they boarded the tundra buggies. There were people from Billings, Montana, Tacoma, Washington, Portland, Oregon, and Brunswick, Maine. There were people from Evanston, Illinois, Hudson, Ohio, Boise, Idaho, and Halifax, Nova Scotia. There was even a family from Tokyo, Japan, 3 couples from Auckland, New Zealand, a man from San Diego, California, and 2 Welsh ladies who lived in a place called Brynhynfryd Langdorog that no one could pronounce. This is the crowd of tourists getting ready to hop on that tundra buggy. They drove and drove, but there was not a bear in sight. The tourists kept staring out the window at the tundra looking for the bears, but the only thing they saw was tundra. The tourists were very disappointed. They began to grumble and complain. One man from Boise wanted his money back. So did a lady from Billings. Their complaints got louder and louder when suddenly, far out on the tundra, there was an amazing sight. Pretty cool. Every bear in Churchill was marching across the tundra where they were following a fierce, brave bear. And it says here, save our home, turn down the furnace, ice is nice, brr is best, turn stuff off. Walk, ride bikes, wind power, solar power, fierce, freeze please, pass up gas, go biofuel, make less garbage, recycle, save trees, and cool it. Some pretty good signs. And the fierce, brave bear they were following was chewing a twig. Save our home, it's up to you. We can all do our part, shouted Winston of Churchill. No matter how small, I have nothing to offer but blood, toil, tears, and sweat. But I say to you, never, never, never give up. The tourists were so excited to see the bears, they took picture after picture. And when they got home, they showed their pictures to their friends and families. In every picture was a fierce, brave bear holding a sign that said, we must all do our part, no matter how small. And the bear was chewing a twig. I hope you like this book. It's a really fun book about the environment, and again, it's called Winston of Churchill, One Bear's Battle Against Global Warming.